Get inside first. Then, she urged, her voice trembling, her eyes darting toward the horizon. The rain was coming down hard, and lightning flashed over the dry plains. Jack, a lone rancher who'd spent years taming this wild stretch of Texas land, stood frozen at the gate, staring at the stranger before him. She was drenched, barefoot, and clutching a torn shawl around her shoulders. Her hair clung to her face, and her breathing came in sharp, frightened bursts. "Please," she said again, her tone desperate now. "Get inside first, then I'll explain." Something in her eyes, a mixture of fear and pleading, made Jack forget the thousand questions in his head. He nodded and led her toward the house. The old ranch house creaked under the storm's weight, but inside it was warm, safe, a fortress against the chaos outside. Jack tossed his hat aside, grabbed a blanket from the hook, and handed it to her. "You're shaking," he said softly. She wrapped herself in it, her hands trembling so badly she could barely hold the fabric. "Thank you," she whispered. Then, after a long silence, she said, "They'll come looking for me." Jack frowned. "Who will?" Her lips parted to answer, but a roll of thunder drowned her words. She looked toward the window, eyes wide with dread, and whispered, "You shouldn't have opened that gate." Jack's pulse quickened. "What do you mean?" he demanded, but she didn't reply, only stood and moved to the fire, her shadow tall and wavering in the light. "I was supposed to be gone by sundown," she murmured. But the storm came early. Jack didn't understand, but something told him this wasn't just a lost traveler. He poured her coffee, though his hands weren't steady. "You can stay here tonight," he said cautiously. "Whoever's after you, I'll deal with it in the morning." She looked at him for a long time, eyes shimmering with something like sorrow. "You won't have to deal with them," she said quietly. "By morning, things will be different." Outside, the wind howled. Jack sat across from her, staring into the flames. "At least tell me your name," he said. "Alara," she whispered. "And you, rancher, what do they call you?" "Jack." She smiled faintly, her eyes softening. "Jack," she repeated. "Then it's you." His heart skipped. "Me what?" But she didn't answer. Instead, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a small silver ring, old, tarnished, and engraved with strange markings. She placed it on the table between them. "If you wear this before dawn," she said, "you'll never be alone again." Jack stared at the ring, unsure whether to laugh or be afraid. "Lady, I think you've got the wrong man," he said. But Alara only shook her head. "No, the land chose you." Her words made no sense, but there was something about the way she said them that made his skin prickle. The rain beat harder on the windows, and somewhere outside, something groaned, a low, mournful sound that didn't belong to the wind. "What was that?" Jack asked, grabbing his rifle. Alara's face turned pale. "They're here," she whispered. "Please, stay inside." Jack moved toward the door, but before he could open it, she caught his arm with surprising strength. "Don't go out there, Jack," she begged. "If they see you, it's over." He hesitated, looking into her eyes, wide, terrified, and full of truth. Something deep within him told him to trust her. So he locked the door and stepped back. Outside, heavy footsteps thudded through the mud. 4 shadows moved past the window, tall, broad, and silent. Jack's breath caught as one of them paused by the porch, sniffing the air like an animal. Then, slowly, the shadow turned away and vanished into the rain. Alara sank to her knees, trembling. "It's done," she murmured. "They can't take me now." Jack knelt beside her. "What in God's name just happened?" She looked up, tears streaking her face. "You saved me," she said softly. "And now I belong to you." Jack blinked. "Belong to me? What are you talking about?" She took his hand and placed the ring in his palm. "Put it on," she whispered. "It's the only way to end it." Against all reason, against all logic, he did. The moment the ring touched his skin, the storm stopped. The world outside went still, too still. Then came a warmth, spreading from his hand to his chest, as if fire and light had entered him. Alara smiled through her tears. "Now we're bound," she said. "The curse is lifted." Jack's head spun. "Curse? Bound? Alara, what is this?" She looked at him with eyes that seemed older than the sky itself. "A long time ago," she said, "this land was tended by a family, my family. When greed came, when blood was spilled, I made a vow that no man would ever take this ranch without love. Those who tried, vanished in the storms." She reached out and touched his face gently. "You didn't turn me away. You chose kindness over fear. And the land saw it. Dawn came quietly, golden light spilling through the curtains. Jack woke to the scent of coffee and wildflowers. The storm had passed, and the world felt different. He sat up and froze. Alara stood at the stove, humming softly, wearing one of his shirts. Her hair, now dry and shining, fell down her back like liquid sunlight. "Morning, Jack," she said, smiling as if she'd lived there forever. He rubbed his eyes, trying to make sense of it all. "Alara, what are you doing?" She turned, her gaze tender and calm. "Making breakfast for my husband." He stared at her. "Your husband? What?" Then he looked down at his hand. The ring still glowed faintly, its markings alive with light. "You mean?" She nodded. "It wasn't a choice of mine, or yours. It was the land's. Once bound, forever one." Jack's mind whirled, but somewhere deep inside, he felt an odd peace. The ranch, his ranch, seemed alive in a way it never had before. The grass shimmered greener, the cattle calmer, the air warmer. He could feel her presence not just beside him, but in everything around him. Weeks turned into months. Jack no longer questioned what had happened that night. Alara was as real as the sunrise, and the ranch flourished under their care. Travelers who passed by said the place seemed touched by grace, storms avoided it, crops grew strong, and even the wild horses gathered near the fences at dusk, as if drawn to the couple's quiet joy. Yet sometimes, when the wind howled at night, Jack would glance toward the old oak by the barn and swear he saw shapes moving there, the shadows of those who'd once hunted her. But they never came close again. One evening, as the sun set behind the hills, Jack asked softly, "Will you ever leave?" Alara looked at him with that same hunting smile. "How can I? My heart's here now, with you." She took his hand, and the ring shimmered faintly between their fingers. "As long as this land breathes, I'll be by your side." And with that, she kissed him, a kiss that tasted of rain and promise. From that day on, no one ever saw Jack without his mysterious wife at his side. And those who passed through the valley often said that when storms gathered, a woman's voice could be heard whispering through the thunder, "Get inside first," then, warning the next lost soul before the lightning came again. Jack sat in silence, his mind storming harder than the rain outside. The stranger's words echoed through him like thunder, "If you wear this before dawn, you'll never be alone again." He wanted to laugh, to tell her that she was speaking nonsense, but something deep in his chest warned him not to. Alara's eyes didn't waver, they glowed faintly in the firelight, like amber lit from within. "You said someone's looking for you," Jack muttered. "Who? What are you running from?" She turned toward the window, where lightning cracked across the sky, revealing dark figures on the ridge. "Not who," she whispered. "What?" Jack followed her gaze, his heart seizing. 4 shadows, tall, deliberate, moving as one, trudged closer through the rain. They weren't on horseback. They didn't stumble like men. "You're not making sense," he said, reaching for his rifle. But before his fingers touched the wood, Alara's voice sliced through the storm. "Don't go out there. If they see you, they'll take you too." He froze. "Take me where?" She looked at him, tears mingling with rain still dripping from her hair. "To the hollow. To the place where time doesn't pass. That's where they kept me, until tonight." He stared at her, the rifle still halfway raised. "You escaped," she nodded, trembling. "They let me run because they thought I'd fade before dawn. But the storm changed everything. You opened the gate. The land knows your heart, Jack. That's why it let me in." He frowned, his pulse hammering. "Lady, I don't know what kind of superstition this is, but," before he could finish, the floorboards shuddered beneath them. The doorknob rattled, once, twice. A low hum filled the air, like the sound of 1,000 bees behind the walls. Alara stepped forward, eyes blazing. "Stay behind me," she said. Jack hesitated only a moment before obeying. The door began to bulge inward as if pressed by an invisible hand. The fire flickered blue, casting strange, dancing shapes on the ceiling. Alara raised her hands, palms outward, whispering words Jack couldn't understand, soft, rhythmic, ancient. The pressure on the door stopped. Silence fell. Then, one by one, the shadows outside began to dissolve into mist, carried away by the rain. Jack stood there, heart pounding, unable to speak. "What did you just do?" he finally asked. Alara turned to him slowly. "I ended it, for both of us. But now, it needs something in return." Jack stared. "What needs something?" She pointed to the silver ring still lying on the table, gleaming like a captured moonbeam. "The bond," she said. "You've already felt it, The land took your breath when you crossed that fence. It chose you. Now it's asking for your promise. He shook his head, backing away. No, this is crazy. I just bought this place a week ago. It's land, not— He stopped when she stepped closer. Not alive, she finished for him. You can feel it, can't you? The pulse under your feet, the warmth in the walls, the way the storm didn't touch your roof. Her voice softened. It's watching us, Jack. It's deciding whether you're the one who stays, or the one who disappears like the rest. He didn't know what to say. Every instinct told him to throw the ring into the fire, to get in his truck and drive until the storm was a memory. But when he looked at Alara, trembling, soaked, beautiful in the firelight, he felt something else. Pity, fear, no, connection. The kind that came from places words couldn't touch. What happens if I put it on? He asked quietly. She smiled, a sad, knowing smile. Then we both live. Outside, the wind screamed once more, and the lightning split the horizon in two. Jack picked up the ring. It felt cold, impossibly heavy for its size. He hesitated, his breath fogging in the cold air. Alara watched him, her lips parted as if she wanted to stop him, yet didn't. Once it's on, she warned, there's no undoing it. You'll share what's mine. The land, the storms, and the curse. Jack looked into her eyes one last time. Then I guess we'll share it together, he said, sliding the ring onto his finger. The moment he did, the air cracked with light, the fire roared high, the wind outside stilled, and the earth itself seemed to exhale. Alara gasped, and then smiled, tears streaming down her cheeks. It's done, she whispered. Jack felt warmth rush through him, a heartbeat not his own pulsing in sync with the land beneath them. What's done? He asked, his voice trembling. She stepped closer, resting her hand against his chest. You've taken my place, she murmured. And in return, I've become yours. The rain stopped. The silence that followed was absolute, almost holy. Jack looked down at the ring, now glowing faintly, its strange symbols shifting like ripples on water. Alara, what are you? He asked. She smiled faintly, brushing a strand of hair from his face. Your wife, she whispered. From this night forward, by the law of the land and the promise of the storm. Then she kissed him, soft, slow, and final, as dawn broke through the clouds and the ranch came alive in golden light. When Jack opened his eyes again, the fire had burned low, and Alara was gone. But the ring still glowed on his hand, and outside, the world was reborn, green, calm, and impossibly still. The storm was over, but he knew nothing would ever be the same again.